All right, so there's been an argument going around the YouTube sphere, the Twitter sphere, the college football landscape in general, and now it's time for me to give my opinion. Could the SEC actually be left out of the CFP in 2023? If you're brand new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football every day. I talk NFL, I talk MLB, I talk NHL, I talk NBA, but I love talking college football, and if this is the type of content you enjoy, well, this is the channel made for you. So hit the subscribe button down below, give the video a thumbs up, tell me in the comments section why or why not the SEC will not be left out of the college football playoff. Tell your friends, your family, your pastor, your enemies, everybody about this channel, even the drunk dude passed out in a Waffle House parking lot on Saturdays. Because if we get to 1,000 subscribers by November 15th, I will shave my head Lex Luthor style live on air. We do live shows on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. You're not going to want to miss out. So hit the subscribe button and let's continue to talk college football. Could the SEC be left out of the college football playoff in 2023? That is something that will be brand new as we move into a new era of the college football playoff where it's now 12 teams, which, by the way, let's just get the record straight. 12 is too many. 12 is far too many teams to be in the CFP. 8 was the right number. Your 5 conference champions, your 3 at large. That was the right number. But who am I to go ahead and argue with the bureaucrats that decide to run our sport? I'm not going to go there. 4 teams get in every year. The SEC has never been left out. It hasn't always been Alabama. It's been Georgia. It's been LSU, and they've won national titles. But the SEC has never been outside looking in the CFP. And the only way that that changes in 2023 is by one avenue. One, there is no second tier. There is no, well, let's look at this ramification. No, it's one avenue. Georgia loses a game and every other Power 5 conference is undefeated with a champion. And they can do that. They can. It's slim, but only 5 teams have the opportunity to make this a reality. Georgia loses. Washington wins out. They claim the Pac-12 title. Ohio State or Michigan wins out. And for really, when you look at it, Michigan has to still play Penn State, and they have to play Ohio State. Ohio State just has to play Michigan. Win out, get the dub in Indianapolis, they're in. Oklahoma runs the table through the Big 12, defeats whoever the hell they want in Jerry World, they're in. And Florida State does not drop a game. They play somebody in Charlotte. They claim the ACC title. They claim their spot in the college football playoff. And that is it. There is no second guessing when it comes to it, because I can tell you it's not about what the committee thinks. It's not about strength of schedule. This is about really 2 main things, in my opinion. And the first is look at the teams that still have a shot of winning the SEC. And you're going to tell me right now that the voters, that the committee, and the television ratings will not have a say on one of these 2 teams getting in. Alabama or Georgia. Georgia is the 2-time defending national champion. They probably lose 1 game, whether it be this weekend to Florida, whether it be to Ole Miss, whether it be to Tennessee or Missouri, whoever they play, and yet they still end up winning the SEC. You're not keeping a 1-loss Georgia out over any 1-loss team in the country. You're just not. There's a reason why the AP voters to this day are placing Georgia at number 1. The respect factor. And the respect given is the respect they've earned as being a 2-time defending champ. They're going to get a shot at the belt for the 3rd time. That's going to happen. But the other thing is, it's Georgia. It is just Georgia. This is a rating standpoint, and you can go ahead and criticize whatever you want, but you're not leaving an SEC team out of this much prominence. With Kirby Smart looking to become the first coach since the 1930s to claim 3 consecutive national titles, it's not going to happen. And I don't care about this Georgia team not being up to the same standard or the SEC having a quote-unquote down year. It still is Georgia. They still would have played multiple ranked teams, and their resume would stand tall against any other 1-loss conference opponent, and they would get the bid. The other team is Alabama. Alabama this year, whether or not you care to admit it, is nowhere near what it's been in years past underneath Nick Saban. And we all can agree with that, in my opinion. It's not weird to say that Nick Saban is having a down year in terms of roster construct. And that's kind of the beauty of Nick Saban, is that the man knows that he is down and out of the count at wide receiver, and the run game can go invisible at times. And this is the worst quarterback room he's had really since the early 2000s, really when he first came onto campus in 2007. and wide receivers are not finding ways to get open on short passes. You got to go deep, or you're in the red zone and you're targeting a Jermaine Burton, and that's about it. And yet here we are still talking about Alabama having one of the best defenses in college football. They still are finding ways to eliminate the rushing attack and the passing game from potent offenses, i.e. Tennessee last week. And they're Alabama. You're not keeping them out of the playoff. It's just not going to happen. You reward greatness throughout the years, and the voters have given that confidence to Nick Saban time and time and time again. Look back when they didn't go to the SEC championship game. Guess who still was in the playoff? Simple. That's all it comes down to. So those two teams automatically are going to get in. But then goes to the argument of, well, what about another one-loss conference team? Because Cole, it's very easy for us to go ahead and point out, yeah, Georgia, they're great. They've always been great. They're going to be potentially a 3-time champion. They deserve in. Alabama, it's Alabama. Roll Tide all day long. You do realize that the other two teams that still control their destiny at one loss absolutely deserve garneration, because Ole Miss and Missouri may not be on paper at that same level of pedigree as an Oregon or even a Penn State for that matter. But they would have one thing that nobody else does: a win over the number one team in the country. That's the deal breaker. And that's why you have to give it to one of them. Beating Georgia does wonders for your strength of schedule. And it's also knowing that who else you played along the way. And I'm not saying that Ole Miss is playing world ass beaters this year. They have a Texas A&M pesky defense, but an offense that still is inept underneath Jimbo Fisher. They have a game against Mississippi State at the end of the year. They don't really have that other telltale game. Yeah, they're going to play Vanderbilt this weekend. Okay, good for you. You should win the Khaki Bowl. But you beat Georgia. You beat Georgia in Sanford Stadium, which is automatically double the points in my book. And on top of all of that, you also would have the victory over LSU, and LSU beating Alabama gives you the tiebreaker. So naturally, I'm going to give you a shot. And who wouldn't want to see Lane Kiffin in the college football playoff? Come on, be real with yourself for about 5 seconds. You don't want to see Mad Lane trained Kiffin have a shot at going after your coach, giving a side slap, and then eventually seeing the world set on fire? I would. I think the entire country would. That's great for the sport. And then Missouri. Missouri right now, and by the way, I just want to bring this up. I heard today on the Feinbaum show talking about how people are trying to make Eli Drinkowitz the next Lane Kiffin. Mike, stop. Stop. Nobody is trying to do that. Nobody in their right mind who actually knows and loves the game of college football would ever compare Eli Drinkowitz, or any coach for that matter, to Nick Saban. It would be the most moronic thing that has ever come out of somebody's mouth, and I would like to meet that person so I know what kind of Kool-Aid they're drinking and what God they worship. That's the only way that it comes true. But you got to give Missouri a lot of credit this year. Yes, they've beaten the teams that they're supposed to beat. And yes, they did lose after having a lead against LSU in the fourth quarter to a Tigers team that still is playing for a shot at going to the SEC championship. But they've won every game, and they would have a shot of beating Georgia again in Sanford Stadium, not at home. Not at home, because winning at home is one thing. Winning in Athens is another. So it's another feather in the cap. And then, of course, you look at the remainder of the schedule. You go 12-1. Brady Cook is having a phenomenal year. The wide receiver combination of Luther Burden and Theo Wease is phenomenal. And the defense has taken a massive step forward. Give a lot of credit also to the new offensive coordinator, Kirby Moore, which is really saying something about Eli Drinkowitz, who called the plays before, admitting fault and saying, I need to give up something for our team to be better. That's a wonder. That's a hell of a coach move. And he deserves SEC Coach of the Year at this point. He does. You give the nod to Missouri because they would have the win over the number one team, and nobody else could say that. And I'm not going to go ahead and get into arguments about why Penn State belongs in or why Washington at a one-loss team belongs in, or you can make an argument for Florida State, but no. It's the SEC where it just means more. You look at the level of competition, you look at the talent that comes out every single year. Go check the draft boards every April. You'll see same numbers every year. Who leads the way? SEC. Who has the most first-round picks? SEC. Who is drafted the most? SEC. It just means more. It means more to ratings. It means more to laurels. It means more to domination. It's just the way the SEC is. There is one avenue for the SEC not to be represented in the college football playoff this year. Georgia loses, everyone wins out. You don't do that, even you can make a case for other teams on the outside looking in that they belong in the CFP over another one-loss conference champion. Sorry to hate and break it to you. That's just the way the business goes.
Thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.